Hello there, thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on digital address GA09925339. Our top stories this hour. Baby and Mothers Unit of the Komfanoji Teaching Hospital to be completed in 3 years after it was abandoned for 47 years. We'll take you down memory lane of the JoyNews story detailing how at least 4 babies died due to congestion at the hospital between 2012 and 2016 as we share the good news with you. News coming up, the Ghana Immigration Service makes several arrests of neighboring nationals smuggling themselves into the country as our borders remain shut in response to coronavirus. We'll take you this afternoon to the Western, Bono and the Volta regions where close to 100 people have been taken in. And a semblance of normalcy or a risky move. This week, one of Europe's biggest leagues resumed, the Bundesliga. Exciting, but how will it be given that the virus is still spreading? We're live in Germany for those fine details. Those are top stories this hour. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. Welcome. I'll take you through the details now. In 3 years, the mother and baby unit of the Komfanoji Teaching Hospital, abandoned for 47 years, will be completed. Within 2012 and 2016, an average of 115 mothers lost their lives annually at that hospital. That's not all. At least 4 babies also died each day due to factors including congestion and infections. This is the highlight of a JoyNews special assignment in 2017. Seth Kwame Boateng has more in this report as he takes you on a journey about how it all began.
Lives were being lost on a daily basis as a result of congestion here at the Komfanoji Teaching Hospital, Ghana's second biggest teaching hospital.
Yeah, our mortality rates are around 20%, which means that a fifth of the babies who come in will end up dying. So that would try maybe what? On a bad day we can lose 6-7 babies. We've had days when we've lost as many as 10 in a day.
These heart-wrenching statistics from Dr. Jikua Planjru, head of the hospital's mother and baby unit, were not the only worrying fact about the facility. Expectant mothers also had their share, according to the former head of the gynecology unit of the hospital, Professor Bafu Opoku.
In 2012, we had 152 deaths. Mothers. 2013, 126. 2014, 108. 2015, 102. And last year was 91.
All these were as a result of congestion. Congestion that made women in labor join queues and each wait her turn to give birth.
Some of them will deliver in the corridors. And it's not the best because you have to be in a particular position to ensure effective, safe delivery. So assuming the woman is standing and the baby just drops onto the ground, apart from the baby sustaining injuries, the mother will also sustain what we call genital tract injuries.
This same congestion meant doctors and nurses at the mother and baby unit had to put up to 4 babies in one cot or incubator.
Each of these babies is carrying his own set of bacteria, and then they are sharing. They are passing them on to one another.
How dangerous is that?
Baby may come in with, your baby may come in with one infection, and then just as he's getting well and he's about to go home, he picks another one from his cot mate, and sometimes as I said, babies can die of infections very easily.
A few meters away from where these avoidable deaths were being recorded was the perceived panacea to the congestion. An almost 1,000-bed maternity and child health unit started in 1974 but had been abandoned. This didn't sound right.
Need not play politics with our health, and in particular this building, because all the governments have come and gone. None has been able to just finish this to take care of the people who go and queue to vote for them every year, especially our mothers and children, who make up the largest population of this country besides the men.
These concerns triggered the Next to Die documentary, which was first broadcast on 13th March 2017. documentary shook people in Ghana and beyond, and it made many people angry at the reality of mothers losing their babies after 9 months of pregnancy.
And we sincerely apologize you're having to relive this rather sad experience. This is third time referral to Komfo-Anokye, and the experience is almost the same.
The public discourse on the blatant neglect of this facility continued for weeks, and this compelled President Akufo-Addo to visit the hospital to obtain first-hand accounts of the situation. It was Saturday, 1st April 2017, and this is what he wrote in the hospital's visitors book. "I am very distressed at what I have seen here today. It is not to the credit of our nation that an important hospital project, Cath Maternity Block, should stand 44 years uncompleted. We have to do something about it, and I intend to do so." Contractors who were working on the project had told JoyNews about $75 million was needed to complete the project. They could finish the project in 2 years. These 2 years waiting period meant more deaths, so the multimedia group and the First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo had to intervene and raise approximately $2 million to construct an emergency ultra-modern maternity and mother and baby unit in a record time of 6 months.
I saw drawings of it, but I didn't know this is how it would turn out. I'm really amazed and overjoyed at what I see today.
And indeed, this facility helped to significantly improve the situation, save lives. But to further reduce the deaths, the abandoned 47-year-old building needs to be completed. Government has secured 2 credit agreements from the Deutsche Bank and the UK Export Finance, totaling €155 million to continue the project. Parliament approved this loan on 12 April 2019. All is set now for work to start on the facility, and on Friday, 15th May, President Akufo-Addo will cut sword for work to continue on the project. The chief executive of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, Dr. Hineba Owusu-Damso, says this would be the best gift the hospital would have ever received.
The fact that it is a facility within the center of Ghana that offers some unique specialized services that most regions don't have. The entire 5 regions in the north, their referrals come to us, even including central region. So we need that facility to actually expand. In fact, where we are, as I've always indicated, the accident and emergency center in Komfo-Anokye Hospital is almost always full. It's all because we are getting referrals here every minute, every hour, because of the lack of facilities in all the regional areas that I've just indicated. And therefore, we need to have a very good space to transfer the patients out of the emergency area beyond their emergency care. And that is why the incoming project is very, very critical.
Well, from the multimedia group, we would want to thank you all for helping us push this agenda for better health for the mothers and babies in and around the Ashanti region.
Well, all the problems are set highlighted in that report should soon end, because today President Akufo-Addo cut short for the continuation of the mother and baby unit block started many years ago. We'll hear from the President, Health Minister and other officials who spoke at the sword cutting ceremony. But let's go live to Kumasi and speak with Seth Kwame Boateng, whose documentary and whose special assignments, I should say, brought this discussion to the fore. Seth, what is happening at the moment?
Ended a while ago, and we have all left the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, but the people there, the health staff there, and the patients are still excited because when this project is over in 3 years, it's going to bring them the relief they've been looking for so many years. So the excitement is still there, and I wouldn't say only at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, but the entire Kumasi. People we saw around were excited. They were cheering the president up and Asantehene up, and they are all excited about this project. But we have since left Komfo-Anokye, and I'm reporting live from the officers here in Kumasi.
I know that in Kumasi people love to talk. I mean, I'm wondering what sort of talk is going on there in Kumasi as far as what has happened today is concerned, Kwame?
I think until the president made it clear that every single money they need to complete this project is here, is available, people were still skeptical because it's been 47 years since this project started, and contractors will work on it to a point, they will stop, they will say there's no money. And I remember when we did the Next to Die documentary, contractors who had previously worked on the project, who were still on site waiting that one day funding will come for them to continue, they had said they needed approximately $75 million to complete, and this wasn't a small amount government could gather in a matter of weeks or months. So people were skeptical, but when the president came and said every single money they need to complete this project is ready and it's in Ghana, then it brought some kind of relief, and you could see on the faces of people, a few of the people who were there, that indeed this project is going to be ready in the 3 years estimated time that the contractors have given. So yes, they are now, rest assured, and we are all praying and hoping that nothing changes, so that in 3 years this facility will be ready for the people, not only of Ashanti region, but when the health minister was speaking, I remember he said that this facility is going to serve 12 other regions, so it's going to benefit the entire country.
Well, Kwame, it's interesting that you mentioned the health minister, because I'm going to bring his what he said, and then after that we'll continue our conversation with you. So let's listen to the health minister who was speaking today at the sword cutting ceremony.
Mr. President, we don't even know exactly how many years this project started. Some are saying 40. I told you yesterday, say 40. Some are saying 42. Some are saying 47. And the regional minister summed it up. Over 40 years. This is a typical example of an abandoned project. This is what we should call an abandoned project. Not the little ones we have come to finish almost all of them. And they wouldn't talk about this. Mr. President, we thank you so much. The regional minister, because this is his kingdom, sorry Nana Otumfo, I'm sorry. This is his area. He said the people of Ashanti are thanking the president for this. No! All of us, to the north of Ghana, beyond Ashanti, this is our tertiary referral facility. So those of us in Bro, Ahafo, some parts of Oti, some parts of Savannah, even some parts of the north, this is where we come. So not only the people of Ashanti are grateful to you, President, all of us are grateful to you. And me as the health minister, I would say all of us in this country are grateful to you with your commitment to strengthen health systems in our country for us to achieve our key performance indicators in health that we are striving to achieve in 2021. Mr. President, when we saw the documentary, especially me, that was put up on Joy FM by Seth Kwame Boateng, which motivated your wife, Auntie Rebecca, to come and do what she did there, you continue to push me, and I was pushing my young people in the ministry. I just want to announce to you, Your Excellency, that that man, Seth Kwame Boateng, is here with us today. And I believe he will take the news along, that what he did just formed in line with Nanado's thinking and commitment, and we have seen what we are seeing here today. I said earlier on that, have we not seen COVID-19? This project will have started long before now. But when we sit down and think that COVID-19 is going to go away before we come and do this sword cutting, then it means that our prediction wouldn't come true. COVID-19 has come to stay with us. It will have nowhere to go very, very, very soon. Especially when we haven't developed any vaccine, when nobody knows any serious cure directly towards it. We have to learn to live with it so we can live our normal lives. We can't allow COVID-19 to keep us indoors forever.
And certainly exactly what government is doing, living our normal lives. And that includes bringing up this building you see right here behind me. That's the health minister. Seth is still on the line with me, but I want you to listen to the CEO of Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, Dr. Ohene Danso.
For a project whose initial soil cutting ceremony was done in 1976, I wish on behalf of the KATH family to give thanks to the Almighty God for making it possible for us to see this day. As a hospital, we have been dreaming about the completion and use of the Maternity and Children's Board project for an incredible 44 long years. In fact, it was started 5 years before I entered the medical school at the KNUST. Thanks to the bold and decisive leadership of Your Excellency President Akufo-Addo, one of the longest dreams in the country's health sector is about to be fulfilled with the reactivation and real completion of works on this project under a contract awarded to Contractor Construction UK Limited. By virtue of this, the hospital will boast of one of the most modern women and children's medical facilities in the world when completed. The 800-bed project, among others, will have emergency reception for children and pregnant women, 10 theaters, intensive care units, an in vitro fertilization unit, breastfeeding center, pediatric surgery unit, pharmacy, dedicated medical oxygen plant, lecture halls, cafeteria, gift shop and bank, and other specialty facilities. Upon completion, this project is expected to revolutionize the provision of maternal and pediatric care in this part of the country and make the hospital a formidable center of excellence in the training of specialist health professionals in Ghana and sub-Saharan Africa. The hospital has a significant trainee population from Africa, especially from the sub-region of West Africa. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we have gathered here to witness the resumption of works for the largest single investment in the history of this hospital since its construction in 1954, I wish to enjoin the people of this region and indeed the millions of Ghanaians living in these catchment areas to thank His Excellency President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo for his historic intervention.
And you'll hear from the President, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, but let me go back to Seth. Seth, the CEO talks about the investment that's been made into this hospital. And of course, this hospital serves a lot of people, not just in the Ashanti region. The First Lady erected a temporary structure, a building that was also for this purpose. Give us an update on how that is helping deal with the situation, even as we wait for this bigger facility.
So the beginning of this year, I was at Komfo Anokye to do 2 years of the facility, as in the impact it has made, and I got the data, and it showed how maternal mortality had reduced because now they have 9 birthing beds plus 3 surgical theaters. Remember, in the past they had just 2 beds women were delivering on, and so anytime more than about 5 women came, they could take care of only 2 and tell the 3, wait, don't deliver yet, even though the baby is coming, wait, so that we can sort out the 2 on the bed before you allow the baby to come. So there were instances, some delivered on the floor. That time when I was doing this documentary, they had just 2 surgical theaters for cesarean sessions. And I remember when I went, 1 had broken down. So all the emergency cases coming, all the women who were in need of CS, they were also having to join queue before they could be operated on, because 1 was not functioning. But with the mother and baby units that the multimedia group and the First Lady together built, they have 3 operational theaters taking care of women. So now they have 12 places, or the 9 beds plus the 3 surgical theaters where they can have their babies. And I remember, so that has drastically reduced maternal mortality. Now there's no delay. You come in and you deliver straight away. You don't have to join any queue. And I remember the mother and baby units, the old one, that place was built to accommodate just 60 babies. But as at the time we were doing this documentary, they were taking over 120 babies. So there were instances, 4 babies, 6 babies were having to share cots and incubators, so cross-infection was high. But when this new facility was built, they have about 120 baby cots. Right. They had about 10 incubators. So when you go there, no matter the congestion, you'll not find any baby sharing any cot. At times, you only find twins. That under rare circumstances, you find twins in one cot, but that is when there is even congestion there. Otherwise, they are not having to share cot. And I was told that that had also reduced neonatal mortality. Okay. And I remember stillbirth had drastically come down. It has halved by 50%. It has come down by 50%. That was the statistics I was given.
Right.
So, and I remember Dr. Planjou telling me that look at what we've been able to do with this little that we have. And imagine government is able to complete this huge facility for us, the miracles that can happen in this hospital. That's why they're excited that the president is in Kumasi today and has been able to cast sword for work on the project to start.
Well, Kwame, I'll come back to you and wrap up finally. Let's listen to President Akufo-Addo today when he cut the sword for this building to continue.
Today, the virus notwithstanding, to cut the sword for work to begin finally to complete this ultra-modern maternity and children block. A project which is to be carried out within 36 months and whose funding has been fully secured. Once it is put up, the maternity and children's block will be a state-of-the-art modern health edifice with pediatrics, gynecology, and obstetrics units. It will serve as a referral center for 12 of the 16 regions of our country. It will be a 750-bed building with outpatient areas for adults and children, and it will have 10 operating theaters and diagnostic rooms, fully equipped with X-ray, ultrasound, and mammography facilities. It will house an intensive care unit, a high dependency unit, isolation rooms, and student lecture halls with the capacity to provide catering services for staff, patients, and students. As you all know, in addition to being President of the Republic, I'm also privileged to act as co-chair of the group of eminent advocates for the 2030 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The finalization of this project is thus very dear to my heart, as it will have a positive impact on our country's drive towards achieving the SDG targets under maternal and child health. Government is aware, as underlined by the Chief Executive, that one of the critical challenges confronting teaching hospitals in our country, like Komfo-Anokye, has to do with the unavailability of land for future expansion. I'm privy to the discussions that are taking place between Menchia and the board of this hospital for the possible release of additional lands for other projects, such as the Centers of Excellence for Cardiothoracic, Renal, Organ Transplant, Infectious Disease, and Diagnostic Services, among others. The people of this region, and indeed the entire country, look forward eagerly to the conclusion and implementation of these discussions. Accordingly, ladies and gentlemen, I hereby declare the construction of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital Maternity and Children's Block duly reactivated. And I hope the project implementation team will work diligently and accomplish the project within the stipulated time on budget, as I'm confident they will.
And that's President Akufo-Addo who cut the sword earlier today. I'll take a very final word from Seth Kwame Boateng, who is still in Kumasi, joining us live. Kwame, we've heard from the president and all that's been that he intends to do, including the expansion for other services. But before you go, I want you to just tell me, when they say that the money is not going to be a problem this time around, do we know the source? And has the money been given already to the contractor, to the hospital? I mean, tell us, where is the money coming from and where is it at the moment?
So government got this money from two banks, the Deutsche Bank and the UK Financing, and it's 155 million euros. And when I spoke to the contractors, they told me they have the money. meaning nothing will stop them from starting the project or continuing the project. They told me the money is there. So it's not now that they are going to look for the money. And so I should not have any problem with whether they will have challenges or not on money. It is there. And I had that assurance from them.
For eagle eyes on that, certainly with you, and hopefully in 3 years, as they say, we will be commissioning that building, and I can't wait for that excitement on the faces of the mothers and the children there. Thank you, Seth. Seth Kwame Boateng there, Deputy Head of our Health Desk, and also the person who did that documentary. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty Ando up here. I take a break. When I return, I take you to immigration, specific immigration post and what's been done there. About 100, close to 100 people have been taken in. They were all smuggling themselves into the country, even though our borders are shut in response to coronavirus. Do stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, the news has spread wide and fast, and the German Premier League is back, but coronavirus is still spreading. So exactly how do authorities intend to pull through the resumption of the Bundesliga? Thomas Sparrow is political correspondent with our partners DW. He's been talking to us about this, I think, for some time now. He joins us as the day draws closer for the start of the league itself. Thomas, it's good to have you. Good afternoon. Now, it looks like there's no turning back, although some people may have thought that minds would change. What can you report about this?
There is a big protocol in place, Gifty, for the resumption of the Bundesliga here tomorrow. Let's not forget that this is the first of the big European football leagues to restart. So it's also a decision that's being watched very closely across the continent, and I would say also in other continents, as to how that resumption will actually take place. When we talk about that protocol that has been announced, it is a very detailed protocol which establishes absolutely everything related to the matches before, during and afterwards. So what, for example, teams are allowed to do before the games. Teams, for example, are supposed to be in a sort of isolation a few days before the match as well. There's going to be thousands of coronavirus tests on players also shortly before matches to determine whether they are negative or positive. Even the balls have to be cleaned and disinfected. Players will not be able to shake hands or take photos before the match. They will have to arrive separately to the stadium. The protocol also establishes the maximum number of people in one specific area of the stadium. And let's not forget as well that the matches will be without spectators. So that is something that is also been established and regulated. As I say, it's been established and regulated up to the most minimum detail how this is going to resume. That hasn't stopped people, however, from being very critical of this, and I would like to also reveal this because there's a poll here in Germany which was presented this week, which revealed that a majority of Germans actually believe that the resumption of the Bundesliga is the wrong decision. 56% said that they're against the resumption of the Bundesliga, and there are various reasons, we can go into them, Gifty, as to why people believe that this is probably not the correct time to resume football matches.
And that's why we asked the question whether this is a risky move or not, whether we're just trying to by all means live a normal life, or whether this is a risky move. So you said what, 56% of Germans think that this is a wrong move. What are their reasons?
So those who are in favor, those who say that the Bundesliga should indeed resume, say, for example, that this will help clubs economically, say that this is also something that could help the Bundesliga as an institution, because everywhere around the world people will be looking at the matches, whereas in other circumstances they would have other leagues to watch as well. And they also say that this can provide some distraction for fans around the world who have otherwise been rather busy and rather concerned about the overall economic situation with the coronavirus. So those are the arguments in favor for the resumption. Those who are against the resumption of the Bundesliga say that, for example, economic arguments have been more important in the decision, that sporting or sport arguments They say that, for example, this is also a very risky decision from a public health perspective, and they say that the focus has been put maybe on the wrong part of society. There has been a lot of criticism that there has been a big discussion about the resumption of the Bundesliga, where the other elements, for example, exactly how nurseries and daycare centers will reopen, has not received so much attention. So there has been criticism in that regard as well. Again, these polls reveal that most Germans are actually against that decision, even though many people here in Germany are actually big fans of the Bundesliga. But there is certain concern that this is maybe too much of a risk too early.
Too much of a risk too early. They tell us that this is going to happen without spectators, right? But we also know that there's going to be some sort of fake, if you like, spectator sound. I mean, can you give us an idea how they intend to do this? How will it look like, a mental picture?
That's exactly the case, Gifty. You won't have the spectators in the stadium, but football matches will be broadcast, and the idea for fans is at home to try and have as good an experience as possible, obviously considering the circumstances, because it's going to be a very strange resumption of the Bundesliga when you consider that there will be no fans in the stadium. Fans are also not allowed to gather surrounding the stadium. That's also banned. You may know that social distancing measures here in Germany only allow people from 2 households to meet maximum. So you won't have groups of fans watching football matches, and also bars, for example, are still closed here. So that's one element which will give you an idea of what the type of football match will be like. And at the same time, I think many players are also aware that they have a big responsibility when it comes to these football matches. There's a lot of interest here involved. There are a lot of concerns also here involved when it comes to the resumption of the Bundesliga. And as I said earlier, this is something that's being watched very closely abroad, because most international leagues, not only here in Europe but around the world, are also discussing these same issues. How exactly and when can they resume the matches, and under what circumstances, in particular when it comes to these protocols that we've been discussing of hygiene and security?
Yeah. And I take you back to some of the things that you said, Thomas, before we go. You indicated that there's supposed to be tests, regular tests for these players, but usually the tests are not instant. You don't get the results instantly, unless of course there's some instant results testing that goes on there. But otherwise, how will they know that they've tested but they're positive or negative? And I mean, what sort of arrangement is there? And will they be, for example, wearing masks while they're playing?
No, they won't be wearing masks while they're playing, but everyone on the sidelines will have to wear masks if at all possible. So, for example, the manager and the players on the bench will have to wear a mask. Obviously, when the manager shouts something to the players, he will have to take his mask off. But in general, everyone who's not on the pitch will have to wear a mask. And regarding the tests, there are thousands of tests that are going to be used for players, and players will have to pass several tests, negative tests, before actually being allowed to play. They will also have a very strict quarantine, and I would like just to share one example that came out just today or in the last few hours of one manager who decided to leave the isolation of the team before the match to try and buy some toothpaste. And because he was found outside of his hotel concentration, of the hotel isolation, he will not be able to join the match tomorrow, and he will have to be tested once again. So that gives you an idea of how this is happening. There have been tests that have resulted positive, and in many cases those players have been isolated. But for example, in Germany's second division, one complete team was quarantined after a few players tested positive. That team, Dynamo Dresden, will not be able to play in the second tier of German football this weekend. They won't be able to play the next weekend either. So that just gives you an idea, Gifty, of how difficult this is. This is under no circumstance a very easy solution for German football. It is a very risky endeavor, and that's why so many people are actually concerned.
Certainly it is. A lot of people are excited. I mean, it's been a long time since we've been out of the normal life that we know, so it looks like people are eager to get back to that normalcy, but it is still risky. Thomas, thank you so much. I'm sure that by next week we'll be talking about this again and how the first part of it went. Thomas Sparrow is political correspondent with our partners DW. He joined me with news about how the Bundesliga's resumption is going to look like in Europe as they start this weekend. Well, let's take a look at coronavirus and what it's done around the world. The Worldometer. 4,570,210 cases so far. 304,855 people have died, but 1,726,307 people have recovered. You can just go right ahead onto your computer and take a look at the Worldometer. If you want to check by country, the details are there. I'm moving on with my immigration story, but just some of you have been sending your thoughts on the Kumasi Komfo Teaching Hospital. Let me just read some of them to you. Says Gifty, I want to commend Kwame Boateng in particular and multimedia in general for the good works they're doing for Mother Ghana. Divine Afide Menyo sent that from Bando. Farouk in Tamale says it is good our taxes are being used to complete the project, which is of course a good thing. Setre Salisu says, Setre Salisu from Power, Oti region, says, can't those who are against the new, where you're talking about voters register, advise their members to stay off the exercise? Okay, well, let's take a look at those who are talking about that hospital. Says, good afternoon, Gifty. We hope this reactivation of the baby and mother's maternity block would not be abandoned after election or change of government, because some of these empty promises are too much. From Nwesan Obed Azabzugu in the northern region. Let me tell you about what's happening on the immigration front. Now, the Ghana Immigration Service, will start in the western region, has arrested 42 foreign nationals for entering and leaving the country through unapproved routes in the Jomoro municipality. The new arrest and repatriation brings to a total of 372 interceptions in the western region alone since the closure of the country's borders. There is more in this report by Inathalia Kwanzaa.
Officials of the Immigration Service in Hafasini in the Jomoro municipality of the Western region have intercepted and prevented 13 persons who allegedly were leaving the country through an approved route near Akpelenu via Ghana's western border. The 13 persons include 12 Burkinabe nationals, a Ghanaian, and a baby belonging to one of the 2 Burkinabe women. They were intercepted and prevented from leaving Ghana to Ivory Coast on Tuesday by a team of immigration officers on their usual patrol at some unapproved routes. Western Regional Public Affairs Officer of the Ghana Immigration Service, Moses Manford Akapo, says, but for the swiftness of the patrol officers, the travelers could not have been intercepted at the various points.
On the 12th of May, our Hafasini commander led a team of immigration officers under his command to intercept 13 ECOWAS nationals. 12 out of the 13 were Burkinabes and a Ghanaian. Again, on the 13th, which is the following day, just yesterday, a number of arrests and interceptions were equally made. And just this morning, additional 7 Burkinabes have been arrested, bringing the total number of interceptions within the space of 3 days to 42. 13 of the first arrests have been quarantined, and just this morning, additional 7 have been brought in. We are about to interrogate them and know where they are coming from and what have you, but I can confirm that the additional 7 are Burkinabe nationals. So far, we've intercepted over 300 ECOWAS nationals.
Samples of the 13 have since been taken, put under quarantine, awaiting results which will eventually inform the next line of action by the municipal.
And Natalia Kwanzaa with that report from the Western region. I'll take you away from the Western region to Bono, where 20 foreign nationals, including one female traveling from Cote d'Ivoire to Kumasi and Techiman, have been arrested at Kato near Brekum. The foreigners who used an approved route to enter Ghana are nationals from neighboring countries, including Burkina Faso and Togo. They tried inducing immigration officers with 100 cedis each to enable them to have a smooth pass, but they were stopped at the immigration checkpoint at Kato. This number adds to the over 1,000 repatriated foreigners who entered the Bono region since Ghana's borders were closed due to coronavirus. More from Precious Semevo.
Ghana's borders remain closed as the coronavirus cases near 6,000, with one confirmed case in Sampa in the Bono region. But some foreigners continue to explore illegal means to enter the country. 20 of such people who entered Ghana from Cote d'Ivoire through Doma and Sampa in the Doma district and German North district have been arrested Thursday afternoon at Kato checkpoint near Brekum. Assistant Superintendent of Immigration Isaac Osei Asamoah has been speaking to JoyNews.
As you can see now, you can see them, a lot of them here from Togo, Burkina, and then the rest Cote d'Ivoire, other countries. When you get here, the bus will stop, and then they will come down and then walk. So whilst they are walking, we will be picking them one by one, and then we'll be asking them questions. That's what we call profiling. So whilst we profile them, we get to know that, okay, this person is from this country, this person is from this country. As it stands now, we have about 20 people. They've given us the specific places that they passed. We will take them back to wherever they are coming from. We have the gun thermometer here, so we check them ourselves. If your temperature is high, then we call the health people to also come in. When they get to Cote d'Ivoire border, they pay their way out. Last Friday, we intercepted 7 people, and then what they told us was they took 10,000 CFA each from them, and then they will show them the route to enter the country. So when they get here, and then we also intercept them, they will try to pay their ways out, which we don't agree to those things.
Some transport operators take money to help them beat the gaze of Ghanaian immigration officers by sharing them on minibuses traveling from Doma and Sampa through Sunyani to their final destinations. Bono Regional Commander of Immigration, Assistant Commissioner of Immigration Charles Yaobediakun, told JoyNews over 1,000 foreigners have been intercepted and repatriated since the border was closed in the region.
We mounted a checkpoint on the Sunyani-Brekum highway at a place called Kato. Since we mounted that checkpoint, we have intercepted 125 foreigners and repatriated them. A lot of Togolese in Cote d'Ivoire, they want to come through Ghana to Togo, so they don't have any means to come but to use the unapproved routes. Since the border was closed, we have intercepted and repatriated 1,089 people, that is foreigners. Now we have a place like Gonokrom. 62 of foreigners have been intercepted and repatriated. In Krankwanta, in the Doma West, 221 foreigners. Sampa has repatriated 272. Kofi Badu Krom has done 133. We also have a Tuna Tanso checkpoint at Wenchi and others.
He had this advice to Ghanaians living along the borders.
Unfortunate thing is, those border residents, sometimes they aid the foreigners to enter the country. They use motorbikes and other means, and they create unapproved routes to get the people into the country. Because of that, a place like Nkrankwanta, the commander there seized about 21 motorbikes, and these persons were just carrying people from Cote d'Ivoire to Ghana. They are thinking about the money they will get from these people without thinking about the effects of the disease, the virus. Then that is very unfortunate. So we are appealing to our border residents. They are part of us. We are one.
For JoyNews, Precious Semevo, Brekum.
Let's go to the Togo border. Immigration officials there intercepted 31 parcels suspected to be narcotic drugs from 6 Ghanaians who attempted crossing an unapproved route into Togo. The suspects fled into Togo, which made it impossible for the officials to arrest them. Sector Commander Chief Superintendent Fred Dodu joins me on the phone to share some more details with us. Sir, thank you for your time this afternoon. Can you confirm to us if indeed your men intercepted this substance? Were they able to take the substance away from these people who were carrying it?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity and good afternoon to you and your cherished listeners and viewers. Yes,
Please go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
This morning, around 01:20 hours, that is just after midnight or 1 a.m., the men on patrols at one of the unapproved routes called Beat 11 saw this man who they suspected were trying to smuggle some goods into Togo. So they gave them a hot chase, and unfortunately they were almost at the Togo side of the border. They were able to abscond and then enter Togo.
So they've entered Togo?
Unfortunately, for us, we were able to get the goods. They left it behind, and then the officers collected them and then brought them to the main border.
So you've confiscated the narcotics, but the people managed to run away?
Yes, the people managed to run away into Togo.
What sort of collaborations do you have with your colleagues on the other side of the border, so that by now, if you had sent them an alert, they would have been able to arrest them for you? Has that been done?
No, please. Unfortunately, that side of the border, at that time, they didn't have any Togo policemen around. It is a bushway. So they were able to sneak in the night and then entered. Like I mentioned, 1 a.m. So we've not been able to contact them to be able to trace them.
In that case, what's going to happen next? Are you going to launch some sort of investigation, or are you leaving it there?
Now, what we've done is to hand over the 31 parcels of the suspected substances to NAPOC. They are the mandated agency to handle such cases. So we've handed it over to NAPOC to carry on from there.
We're hearing that since the border was closed, that it significantly reduced the level of smuggling at the Aflao border. How true is this? To what extent is that true?
Yes, it is. I can say it is true, because the men are there 24 hours, and then those border residents who are assisting them will be able to do a lot of community engagement with the leaders of. They even spot the people, and then they call us and then go and then arrest them. Fortunately for us, those who want to come into the country through the illegal means has, as at now, has gone down drastically. The challenge now we have is those who now want to go to Togo and then go and buy goods and come and sell.
Also happening somehow that people are still somehow able to go through the illegal routes and get their stuff. Your men have been arresting some people, but there's word out that some of them still manage to get through to buy their things. How true is this also from your perspective?
Oh yes, looking at the stretch from the K2 South stretch from the Aflao border up to the end of K2 North, which is far beyond Akanu and then Havi area. It's a very wide stretch. These border residents, they know the terrain better, because like I spoke with you some few weeks back, The moment you steal one, they create another one. The moment you steal one, they create another one. It is just bush pass. But like I said, I can tell you that the rate at which they were going and coming has come down drastically.
Okay.
So now it is those people like the Nigerians, people from Kumasi who wants to find their way means of going to buy some goods and come and sell. But I believe now it has gone down. The pressure has gone down.
Sir, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Sure. Chief Superintendent Fred Dodo is a Aplawo Border Immigration Commander. Now, COVID-19 infections have started rising in Europe again, a few days after leaders loosened social restrictions. The UK also started to ease its restrictions since Monday and announced set to continue with the Premier League sometime in June. The new cases in Germany and China and other countries that started easing restrictions illustrate the difficulties that governments will face over the next months as they attempt to reopen their societies without triggering a second wave of infections. Well, let's go to the UK, where Baba Tando joins us live with some updates there. Hello, Baba.
Hi, Gifty. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Baba. It's good to have you. So we know that the UK has eased some restrictions with the Premier League contemplating a return in June. We know what's happening in Germany at the moment. What more can you add?
All right, yeah. So the Premier League board has been, having a series of meetings with government officials, and they have come to an agreement that the Premier League could start in June, albeit, inconclusively. All of these things have been inconclusive. The other lower leagues are also meeting up, subsequently with government officials to ensure that they are all in tandem as to when they can also start. And so, yes, indeed, the Premier League has been giving, I won't say they've been giving the full green light, but I mean, they've been told that the Premier League could begin in June. But meetings are still ongoing to find out, measures that could be put in place to ensure that the COVID scare, does not rise up again once, the Premier League is up and running. But what I've been monitoring from football fans is that not many of them are enthused about, going back or going into the stadium to support their club when they are playing. If you speak to about 3 in 5 people can tell you that they are not too enthusiastic about returning just yet. And so I don't know if they're going to start doing this behind closed doors, but not many fans are enthused about wanting to return. They may be happy watching it on TV, watching it via the internet, but to say that they are happy about wanting to go into the stadium to support their clubs, it's quite, skeptical. A lot of them are skeptical about making a return, in that regard. But they are happy. Some are happy to hear that that football is coming back, though.
I'm hearing, I just spoke to our partners in Germany who are telling us that the Bundesliga, about 56% of Germans think that starting the Bundesliga is a risky move. But we also know that in the UK, there are conversations on which team to support, because of course their league has not started. So there must be some level of jealousy over there, given that Germany has already gone ahead to start theirs.
Well, I tell you what, Germany has always been ahead of the UK with regards to putting measures in place and dealing with this COVID. And so the people in the UK know that they are far behind. They are not too. I'm not sure there's anything called jealousy happening right now, because the case in the UK is different from the case in Germany, and they would want to contain this virus. They would want to ensure that this pandemic has been hit hard, has been dealt with to the barest minimum. And so there's nothing about jealousy. They want to make sure to take you one step at a time. Even primary schools are supposed to open from the 1st of June. That has been problematic. People are not too enthused about sending their children back to school, and so it's it has nothing to do with jealousy. People in the UK want this virus to be contained, and so they are not too enthused about. Yeah, they are happy about some measures, being some of the lockdown measures being softened. But I mean, you still don't find too many people on the street. Yes, the shops still have queues and all of that. The traffic is building up on the roads, but they are not too enthused about massing up in one place. Or having their kids massing up in one place to go to school, or to go to the stadium to watch football. The buses, the tubes, the trains are getting filled up, which is making social distancing problematic. And I mean, Boris Johnson and his people are really they're considering serious measures. We're waiting. In the next 1 minute, the daily briefing will happen, and we're going to hear what will be happening so far. But I mean, they're not too enthused about wanting to amass in the stadium or wanting to have their kids back in school. So there's nothing about jealousy.
And I'm wondering, what has your personal, your personal story been? How has it been for you? You've been in lockdown for weeks.
Well, yeah, I've been in lockdown for weeks. Every now and then I go out to get essentials. I go out. So as we speak now, I'm in the car. I'm going to get some essentials right now. It's been crazy. I mean, I haven't had too much of I haven't been bothered by it so much, because I know that the situation is scary. Hey, I don't want to go get no coronavirus. I don't want to go and get all the repercussions that come with it. It is a very precarious situation we find ourselves in. The only difficulty is standing in queues for long to get access to the bank or to get access to the shop. I had to queue up for close to 30 minutes just to go into the bank to do a transaction today, and that wasn't fun at all. That wasn't pleasing. It's usually the same when I have to go to the shop. You queue to get into the shop. Once you are done picking up your items, you queue at the tail. It's not been pleasant. But other than that, I mean, I think it is okay. It's not as if life has come to a standstill. Not really. We still do things online, and so it's not much of a bother to me.
Baba, thank you very much. Along the line, I'm sure we'll get back to you. Baba Tando, my colleague, joining us from all the way in the UK, where she's giving us updates on their own league. We're coming back to Ghana, where the minority spokesperson on health, Kwabena Mensah Akando, is kicking against the Speaker's decision to recall Parliament to sit on Tuesday. That's the 19th of May next week. The MP is warning that the move in the light of COVID-19 spread and attendant restrictions is out of place because there is no urgent business to be undertaken. The Speaker issued a notice last week recalling MPs to work from the 19th. Mr. Akando says the move is a danger to all Ghanaians because MPs could spread the virus across the country more quickly than any professionals.
Before we come back, proper and pragmatic steps must be put in place before we come back, else we have no business coming back. And I say so because if you go to other developed countries, their parliament, they come as and when there's a special duty to be performed. They come in groups. 50 people will appear on the floor of the House at a time to deal with a particular matter, and they will go. So for me, if you are asking people not to congregate beyond 25, and we have about 275 people in the same chamber, you make nonsense of social distancing. And so I believe that government and Parliament as an institution must put in place pragmatic measures. Whether we'll be called to come and do specific duties, special ones, then we'll go. It's not as if we are coming to sit normally as though there's nothing at stake.
It sounds so that the second meeting of the fourth session is actually what the Speaker is recalling that it begins, not for any specific outline agenda.
Then I think that with the greatest respect to leadership and with the greatest respect to the Speaker, they must also consider our lives as well. Our lives are in danger, and I can tell you that members of Parliament travel more and wide. As I speak to you now, there should have even been mass testing in Parliament. Nobody knows who is carrying the virus. And we must not behave as though we are superhuman beings and we cannot carry the virus. The virus, we have seen prime ministers, we have seen ministers, we have seen deputy ministers who have contracted this virus. So the social distancing is not being implemented in Parliament, and I believe that we must be called to do specific duties and be made to go home. And that will serve as an example to the people. So the pastors who are listening to the directive of the president will understand. Because there are churches who are no more than 200 or 275. They have been asked not to sit. You understand? And so they have been asked not to worship. And so I believe that before we come back, there must be proper measures, more than what we see or what we saw before we went on recess.
Otherwise,
I believe that I think that we do not have to come back and sit. And because you see, after Parliament Wednesdays, we frequent our constituencies. Don't think about us as individuals. We meet more people in our constituencies more than any individual. Immediately, the member of Parliament goes into his constituency or her constituency. A lot of people go around the person. He moves to the communities. So even if one person contracts the disease, you can imagine how many people can be infected. And so we should not take it, lightly at all. And so there must be pragmatic measures in place before we are called to Parliament. We can be doing virtual meetings. I can be in my office monitoring proceedings on the floor of the House. As and when I think that I must move there, fine, then we'll do so. So we want to see more of these measures rather than calling all of us to, come and overcrowd on this small space. As
Kandel, the ranking member on Parliament's Health Committee wants government to change its strategy and ensure mass testing of citizens as the way to combat the disease. He claims the rise in the figures show the situation is getting out of hand and government must sit up.
The issues are getting out of hand. We must do more testing. More testing. You see, when you are taking your statistics as whether or not we have peaked, you don't change your denominators. Your denominators must remain constant. And even the epicenters, you don't go and take samples from Jabuso and take a different sample from, let's say, Obuasi, and then you say, because the Jabuso one is dropping, it means that our cases are dropping. It doesn't make sense with all respect. Because the two are not the same. One is an epicenter and the other is not. So you take two samples from the same epicenters with the same denominators. When you see the positive cases dropping, that one, you can make a case out of it. But if you take different cases and then different denominators and you come out to say that we are picking whilst the cases are skyrocketing, it is rather unfortunate. It doesn't engender trust. Now, how to believe government in the management of this issue has become a problem. How to believe what government says has now become a problem. Because they say one thing in the morning, and in the afternoon, they are coming out to say a different thing. They say one thing, yesterday, and today we are seeing a completely different thing, which is opposite what they said yesterday.
We're still staying with the minority because they're demanding the immediate withdrawal of a directive from the Ghana Revenue Authority to the ECG to charge up to 18.1% tax on electricity tariff, noting that will impoverish Ghanaians. A fourth May 2020 circular from the GRA to ECG reportedly directed the charging of 12.5% of VAT, 2.5% of NHIL and 2.5% of Get Fund levy, which the ECG has not been charging since March 2001, although it's mandatory on the legal books. Minority spokesperson on energy, Adams Mutuakilu, is warning the move will bring hardship to consumers who are already burdened because of COVID-19. Joseph Opoku Gakpo joins me with more on this. Hello, Joseph. Well, we don't have Joseph at the moment, but we can listen to Adam Mutuakilu.
On 4th May, Ghana Revenue Authority wrote to ECG instructing ECG to apply VAT, Get Fund levy, and NHL levy on power supply. And we all know that this will be passed on to the final consumer.
Our percentage?
18.125%. You don't add just the figures, because the way finance calculate it is that you take the cost, calculate Get Fund, calculate NHIL, sum it, and take 12.5%. So if you do that, you will have 18.125%.
And this tax has not been in existence since 2001?
2001, we call it zero rated tax. It should have been applied since 2001. But President Kufuor saw that consumers need to have some relief, so it wasn't applied. In 2013, President Mills inherited from President Kufuor, did not apply it. President Mahama in 2013 re-emphasized why power to residential consumers should be zero rated. Specific 13th of August 2013. And as such, consumers were not taxed.
Since 2011, although it's on
since 2001.
2001.
Yes, so successive president hold on to the fact that we need to give some consumers some relief. Only President Nana Akufo-Addo, not at any time, at this difficult time that Ghanaians are going through, has scrapped it and imposing it on residential consumers. We think this is insensitive. It shows the president do not care for Ghanaians, and we call on him as a matter of agency to reconsider this and withdraw it.
What do you envisage the consequence on consumers will be?
Consumers should be expected to pay more for electricity, not only for 3 months, for the rest of their lives, until President Mahama comes in to re-emphasize what he did in 2013.
If it's captured in the legal books, why should it not be implemented to the extent that more resources are needed by companies like the ECG?
Thank you very much. This is going to be burden ECG in a way, but implementation of the law must come with wise economic decisions. You don't come and tell Ghanaians that, okay, because of COVID, I'm giving you relief. At the same time, you now say, let me impose taxes because I need money. That is not a wise decision. Every president will wait, even if you want to impose this, that economic activities pick up. People who are unemployed as a result of COVID-19 gain employment. We recover from COVID-19. Economic activities pick up, then you impose this. But not in the middle of COVID-19.
And so, what's your expectation of Ghanaians in terms of how the nation should react to this? Because then chances are these additional charges are coming up any moment.
You, me, you, we are all going to pay more. Not for 3 months. Don't look at the rebate or the relief. The relief is just for 3 months. Look at the long term. Getting to the end of the year, you'll be paying more. And it is our responsibility to tell the president that, hey, Mr. President, take it off. For it will have huge financial impact on the little mega resources we're taking at the
Adam Mutakelo speaks for the minority on energy there. Take a quick break, but before that, some of your messages on the stories we've done so far. This one says, JoyNews, bravo for the documentary leading to the renovation of the Cat maternity block, which has been rejected by both the NDC and NPP. For me, the applause goes to the media for their good work. The politicians are not helping the country enough. You don't add your name. Hopefully next time when you send a message, you will add your name as well. This one says, thanks to the Ghana Immigration Service for the good work they're doing during this pandemic. They're really doing good work. We urge them to still protect us at the various borders. This one is also talking about the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. It says the block is a step in the right direction. At least the project, when completed, will provide relief to our mothers and all of us. I pray that Nana will be re-elected to commission this project when completed. Abdul Majid is sending that from Tamale. Some of you are also talking about the voters register, although we've not tackled it yet. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, some heads of second cycle institutions in the Bono region are calling for a mass COVID-19 test of senior high school students before the resumption of schools across the country. They made this call after the Ghana Education Service and Zoomlion Ghana embarked on a fumigation and disinfection exercise of all senior high schools in the region. And as Sabit monitored the exercise and has this report.
The fumigation exercise, which forms part of government's strategic move to curb the problems associated with bedbugs in various senior high schools across the region, started at the Mansin Senior High School in the Doma East District of the Bono region. The invasion of bedbugs and other dangerous insects in second cycle schools has become a cause of worry to both authorities, parents, and students. Headmaster of the Wamanafo Senior High School, Mr. Asante Thomas Armstrong, lauded government and the Zoomlion and called for a repeat of the exercise on regular basis.
We have applied many chemicals, but to no avail. So we are very grateful this morning to see this team from GS and government that is coming to kill this wicked pests for us. Indeed, it is something that will help we, the leadership and the students as a whole. It is a serious concern. We don't know how to even get rid of this challenge. So we thank you so much. And we are very hopeful we'll be seeing you from time to time.
Mr. Armstrong called for a mass testing of students when school resumes in order to identify and quarantine infected students.
There's something we are thinking about, that even if the coronavirus pandemic goes down, as they come from their various homes, we don't know who is infested. So there should be a mechanism that all students will be tested so that those we see to have the pandemic, we quickly treat them.
At the St. Augustine Senior High School in Brekum, headmaster of the school, Reverend Father Hubert Asante Kumi, indicated that the school is preparing towards ensuring the safety of the students when school resumes.
We have bought some Veronica buckets and some hand sanitizers with the little amount that we have. So when finally the government gives the go-ahead, you buy more when they come and you'll be able to contain them.
He also backed the call for students to be tested before school resumes.
Most of our students here are from the north, some from Accra, Kumasi, almost all the parts of Ghana. So in case they are tested, that will help us so that when they come, they will not put any fear in other students. If everybody is tested, then everybody will be free so that we can go ahead with our educational activities very well.
For Mr. Opon Techi Timothy, the assistant headmaster of the Mansin Senior High School, government should find a way of at least accommodating final year students who are currently preparing to write their final exams.
If the disease has come down and they are all to come, fine. But if they are not all come, then the fundraise especially, because for them they are going to write the washing.
Reporting for JoyNews, Anas Sabit, Brekum.
And on the fumigation, the same company, the Zoomlion, in partnership with the Ghana Education Service, has also fumigated a total of 98 private and public second cycle schools in the Volta region. That forms part of a nationwide exercise to get rid of bedbugs, bats, reptiles, rodents, among others, to make the campuses safe for academic activities when school finally reopens, although we don't know when. Heads of the various schools have advocated for the fumigation to be undertaken periodically as activities of the bedbugs and other pets had burdened the schools and the students both financially and academically. More in this report.
The 2 days fumigation exercise saw dormitories, classrooms, offices and other facilities on the campus fumigated. At Viola Senior High School, the assistant headmaster, Pius Fia Ewenam, lauded the initiative, indicating it would relieve the school of extra expenditure.
Actually, with the help of the Ghana Education Service and Zoomlion, I want to commend them for this area. They have been doing a lot. Before school went on recess due to this COVID-19 issue, there was some fumigation earlier on by the Zoom Lion. And then the PTA also organized one before the break. And this fumigation exercise has been very intensive. And since then, we have seen that the bedbug issue has been going down. There are a lot of other insects on campus, lizards, wall gecko, cockroaches are also there. And we have seen that somehow they are under control.
The Awudome Senior High School was hard hit by bedbugs. The insects have been tormenting the student body and teachers for over 5 years. Assistant Headmaster of Academics, Peter Kwame Nambia, said the fumigation exercise couldn't have come at a better time than now.
I want to say this is the second time Zoom Lion have visited our school. For some years back, the school has been battling with how to get funds to do the spraying. Since the government made all heads in various schools not to, collect any or to charge any fees for any students for some time now, still the students were still battling with these bedbugs. Since you've come at this particular time, I think it will be minimized a little bit.
The senior housemaster of Adaklu Senior High School, Innocent Satoji, appealed for an extension of the fumigation exercise to get rid of bats in the school.
Yeah, I want to congratulate the government and the partnership with the Zoom Lion on the fumigation and disinfection exercise, which is going on throughout the schools. We know this is going to help the students to be relieved from the biting of the bedbugs. And also we are having these small bats and then the bees also disturbing us in the school. We will appeal to the government if they can extend this to drive those bats away so that the learning will continue in a peaceful atmosphere. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
The exercise came in handy at the Morley Senior High School, where students and teachers have been battling bedbugs for some years now. This development has caused great harm and affected academic activities. The headmaster of Morley Senior High School, Jonathan Gustav Adoma, described the disinfection exercise as a blessing in disguise. He, however, appealed for a swift completion of projects on the campus to tackle the challenge of overcrowding.
Yeah, the appeal we will make to government is to some of structures are ongoing. If government can use this period to complete some of those structures, that will provide a lot of space so that when they come, we can spray them out. If you turn around, you see our assembly hall. It has a capacity of almost 4,000. And when the president came here in October, he adopted this project. And he told us that he will ensure that this project is completed before the end of the year. We believe if that is done, it will make our work very, very, very easy. We can even use the assembly hall as a classroom because that place is spacious, and that will help us in our distancing protocol.
Wallace Academy was one of the few private second cycle institutions that benefited from the fumigation exercise.
Because the bedbugs infestation has extended to almost all schools. And as private schools, we have been doing our own efforts, spending money to spray them and get rid of them. So roping us in is a great relief, and we are grateful. Oh yeah, we are appealing to the government to extend effectively its stimulus package to private schools, and for that matter, my school. And also consider our staff's salary in any way, because like I said earlier, they have families, they have children, and they have to survive. So we pray to the government to come to our aid.
The head of communications and corporate affairs of Zoom Lion Ghana Limited, Emma Achia Boachi, advised parents to fumigate belongings of their children before they return to school.
My little advice to the public is that the bed bugs are carried by humans to wherever we take them. So the children, I don't know where they brought it from in the first place, but let's say they picked it from the school. They've gone home with them. Now we have exterminated them from the school. They will be coming back. If you have not fumigated your house or disinfected your house, you are likely to bring back the eggs, or better still, even the bed bugs themselves. So I will plead with everybody to find ways and means of making sure that your house is sprayed, or you deal with bed bugs in your house, especially if you have school-going children in your house, so that we are sure that their bags and their books and all that they brought from home will be cleared of these bed bugs. And when they come to school, when the schools have been also cleared, then we have a bed bug free situation for the children, and the environment is good for learning, because when the bed bugs are present, it makes teaching and learning very difficult.
The exercise was replicated in some other 93 schools across the region. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
Time now for Frontline, a segment on the show where we celebrate frontline health workers. Today we want to look at the role played by pharmacists in this pandemic. Joining us via Zoom is Dr. Amwabeng Konto. He's a special clinical pharmacist, cardiovascular and thoracic unit at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. Special clinical pharmacist, COVID-19 management team member in the Ashanti region. He's also the WHO focal person for the production of alcohol-based hand sanitizer since 2013. Hi, sir. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
So, first of all, tell us, how is it going for people like you who happen to be in the front line? I mean, on this segment, essentially, we try to get personal and try to find out how life has changed since COVID-19 as far as your work is concerned. So let's start with that.
Okay, thank you so much once again. Good afternoon to our cherished viewers and then those who are also listening. COVID-19 has changed a lot of things in the country, and then it has affected the life of the pharmacists as well. Pharmacy initially used to be products-oriented alone, and so we were only concentrating on making sure patients get their medications. But now the practice of pharmacy over the past decade has shifted not only to product-centered services, but also to ensure that patient care is guaranteed. So we, as frontline pharmacists, as part of the management team, early every morning we meet to discuss how our patients are doing in terms of either they are coming up or they are going down, and if there are any issues to be addressed, and then it is discussed so that the necessary intervention is given. The work, it has affected our work, it has affected our going home and everything, our social life, such that our concentration is more towards making sure that those who are
Dr. Samuel Konto there, he's joining us via Zoom, but it looks like he just froze up on me. He was just talking to us about how life has changed since COVID-19. He's a specialist clinical pharmacist. Dr. Konto, you're there now? Right. Please go ahead with what you were saying. I lost you briefly, but I think you can continue now. Right. Go ahead.
It's on.
Yes,
on.
please.
It's on. Yeah. Good.
All right, so we'll try and call him back on that Zoom and try to establish a much smoother line with Dr. Konto. Dr. Konto, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I do. Please go ahead. I hear you loud and clear, so go ahead.
The pharmacists as get their medication reactions. Those on admissions, we ensure that we daily monitor for any pharmacovigilance issues to ensure that they do not experience any untoward adverse effects. And in fact, if they do, we necessarily have antidotes to the side effects they are experiencing.
Well, what I hear you say is that you try to make sure that the drugs or whatever it is that you need to administer to your patients are done well, and how they respond to that as well. It's not been a smooth line at all, unfortunately, and that breaks my heart a lot. Let's see if we can try again. So, Doc, you're talking about your role in these times of coronavirus and how you wake up every day, or how you start your day essentially by having a conversation about the patients that are available and the kind of medicines that ought to be dispensed to them and all. Can you take it from there? Because all along I've not been having a smooth connection with you.
Oh, okay, thank you so much. I'll have to go back again. Initially I was talking about pharmacist's role was mainly product oriented, and so initially we were concentrating on the drugs only, but over the past decade, care is now towards patient care. That is, we concentrated on the patient. We concentrate on the patient and make sure that whatever medicines they are on, there's optimization of therapy and there's no adverse drug reaction. Early morning, you have to wake up by 5 a.m. You are up. You are moving to the hospital to ensure that the stocks of medicines are up. And then if there's anything that needs to be done before the clinical ward round starts, you make sure it is in place. We also brief management of any shortfalls in the medication supplies we have, so that all the medication that is needed, possibly to be prescribed by our clinicians doing ward rounds, is in place. Apart from that, we also go into have counseling sessions with our patients to ensure that in case they have any issue that has not been addressed, then the pharmacist will get up, and if it is drug related, we liaise with our prescribers and the clinical team to intervene. Apart from that, we also have people on the research front who are making sure that if there's anything that is coming up that could help us facilitate and optimize therapy, that information is relayed to us and within a very short time, so that we can also look at it and then make sure patient receive discharge. And also, if there's any problem with any medication that is even part of the current protocol, a group of researchers also ensure that we get this information to ensure that patients across the world or across Ghana who are all going through any form of treatment, especially with COVID-19, get the best out of us.
Well, I have lots of, usually I love to have this conversation, but this connection isn't as smooth, although this one has been much better. I won't prolong it. I just have a quick question, if you may. Do you have, with all that you have listed, this means you coming in contact with people, different people, or perhaps even the same group of people with COVID-19 or so on a daily basis, even if it's weekly. Are there any specific stories that really that left an impression on you that you can share with us?
Okay, we had a patient who came to the treatment center, and then because of the patient's exposure, she felt that we could not do anything to help. And so, because he has seen better facilities that had better equipment, but as soon as she got there, she started weeping. So along the line, during counseling session, I asked her, is she okay? Is she doing well? Is there any problem that she's facing that we could help? And all the patients could say that, pharmacist, in fact, initially I thought I would die here, because looking at where I'm coming from and where I'm being brought, it doesn't match. But because of the professionals that has been assembled at this facility, I am getting better, and I'm happy that I'm okay. And lo and behold, this patient tested negative 2 times and then was discharged home. So apparently, we realized that we are doing the best with the little that we have. And so we need support, even though what we have is okay, but we need more support to be able to care for our patients and give them the support. The care should be the same throughout, from the first case to the final case that will come.
You're doing the best with the little that you have. So this patient was coming from which country?
It's a Ghanaian based in the UK.
In the UK.
Because of the lockdown, was also tested positive, and then because of the nature of his condition, had to be admitted at the ICU because it was a severe form of the condition.
Okay. So usually for those who get into the severe form of the condition, they need a ventilator, right? Or are there other symptoms that they exhibit? I mean, at that severe level?
Okay, basically, the severest form does not always apply. It doesn't mean that you have to be put on a ventilator. Okay. But we have ventilators on standby, such that if your oxygen saturations dip at looking at the reference range, we know that if we don't give you put on the ventilator to support, you can easily pass out. And so ventilator is on standby. But there are other things that also put you into the risk of the category of you being in a severe state. And so you need all hands on board, from the anesthesiologist to the intensivist to the cardiologist to the infectious disease specialist to the pharmacist, all on board 24 hours. We don't blink an eye on you. So making sure that you are okay.
I'm really a bit hard pressed with time, but I'd love for us to have this conversation another time. You talk about doing the best with the little you have and that you needed help. Exactly, briefly, what sort of help do you require at this time?
Okay, at this time we need more of the PPEs. The PPEs, the coveralls, the N95s, we need more to be able to make sure that our stocks are within the, our stocks are okay, because we realize that the number of cases keep on going up, and we will not know when we'll get more cases at the ICU, such that we may run out of PPEs, and so we need more help for us to be able to give our maximum best. In terms of drugs, if anybody has drugs that they think they can supply to the facility, we are all welcome. PPEs, gloves, everything, we are welcome to bring them so that we can have enough to take care of patients who possibly will be admitted.
We'll be having more of this conversation to bring this to the attention of the authorities and also those who can help. But Doc, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Dr. Samuel Amoabeng Konto is a specialist clinical pharmacist joining us from the Komfo Teaching Hospital. This has been Frontline. Now, when a larger percentage of the population is vaccinated, it becomes difficult for infectious diseases to spread. A few people therefore get infected, usually resulting in fast disappearance of the disease. Scientists refer to this theory as herd immunity. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah has been seeking clarity on the theory and how it applies to disease control under the topic herd immunity, when everyone is protected. In the first of a two-part interview, he speaks with virologist and immunologist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Dr. Mohamed Mutekolo.
That's how the body's immune forces protect the body against enemies like viruses and bacteria. But you know, they can't do this without the use of IG.
Do you mean Instagram?
Not Instagram. I mean immunoglobulins, also known as antibodies.
Antibodies are Y-shaped small molecules produced by the host, in this case, a human being, to fight the invading pathogens. Invading pathogens could be viruses, bacteria, and some cancer proteins. Now, these antibodies achieve their aim by sticking to areas of the invading pathogens they call antigens, and they neutralize them by stopping or even killing them.
According to a study published in the journal Nature Medicine by Chongqing Medical University, China, 285 COVID-19 patients had developed specific antibodies for SARS-CoV-2 2 or 3 weeks after their first symptoms.
People who have recovered from COVID-19 will theoretically and naturally develop immunity to that virus.
Kwesi Debra filed that report not too soon. We have to wrap up here. Just a quick information here. We wish to apologize to our cherished audiences in the UK for their inability to access through the TuneIn app as usual. But we're available on www.myjoyonline.com and www.adomonline.com. You can also access our streams on Facebook, Android devices, Google Play Store and Apple App Store as My Joy Online and Adom Online. There is more news indeed when you log on to the myjoyonline.com portal. There's more news. Scroll down all the way to the bottom and our YouTube link is also there embedded for you to follow our programs. Have yourself a great weekend. My name is Gifty and Doapia. Thank you for watching.